Four things. First of all, you do get used to his face. The first couple of times I was like, whoa, I'm never going to get used to this. And then after about a week, I was like, it's not so bad. Second of all, he's actually a really cool dude. I mean, he's pretty funny. Like the teacher will say something and August will whisper something funny to me that no one else hears and totally make me crack up. He's also just overall a nice kid. Like he's easy to hang out with and talk to and stuff. Third of all, he's really smart. I thought he'd be behind everyone because he hadn't gone to school before, but in most things he's way ahead of me. I mean, maybe not as smart as Charlotte or Jimena, but he's up there. And unlike Charlotte or Jimena, he lets me cheat off of him if I really need to, though I've only needed to a couple of times. He also let me copy his homework once, though we both got in trouble for it after class. The two of you got the exact same answers wrong on yesterday's homework, Miss Rubin said, looking at both of us like we were waiting. She was waiting for an explanation. I didn't know what to say because the explanation would have been, oh, that's because I copied August's homework. But August lied to protect me. He was like, oh, that's because we did our homework together last night, which wasn't true at all. Well, doing homework together is a good thing, Miss Rubin answered, but you're supposed to still do it separately, okay? You could work side by side if you want, but you can't actually do homework together, okay? Got it? After we left the classroom, I said, "Dude, thanks for doing that." And he was like, "No problem." That was cool. Fourthly, now that I know him, I would say I actually do want to be friends with August. At first, I admit it. I was only friendly to him because Mr. Tushman asked to be especially nice and all that. But now I would choose to hang out with him. He laughs at all my jokes, and I kind of feel like I can tell August anything, like he's a good friend. Like if all the guys in the fifth grade were lined up against a wall and I got to choose anyone I wanted to hang out with, I would choose August. Ex friends, bleeding scream. What the heck? Summer Dawson was always been a bit out there, but this was too much. All I did was ask her why August was acting like he was mad at me or something. I figured she would know, and all she said was bleeding scream. I don't even know what that means. It's so weird because one day me and August were friends, and the next day, whoosh, he was hardly talking to me, and I haven't the slightest idea why. When I said to him, "Hey, August, are you mad at me or something?" he shrugged and walked away. So I would take that as a definite yes. And since I know for a fact that I didn't do anything to make him mad, I figured Summer would tell me what's up. But all I got for her from her was bleeding scream. Yeah, big help. Thanks, Summer. You know, I got plenty of other friends in school. So if August wants to officially be my ex friend, that's fine. That is okay by me. See if I care. I've started ignoring him like he's ignoring me in school now. This is exactly kind of hard since we sit next to each other in practically every class. Other kids have noticed and have started asking me and August if me and August have had a fight. Nobody asked August what's going on. Hardly anyone ever talks to him anyway. I mean, the only person who he hangs out with other than me is Summer. Sometimes he hangs out with Reed Kingsley a little bit, and the two Maxes got him playing Dungeons and Dragons a couple times at recess. Charlotte, for all her goody two shoes, doesn't even do more than nod hello when she passes him in the hallway. And I don't know if somebody's still playing the plague behind his back because no one ever really told me about it directly. But my point is that it's not like he has a whole lot of other friends he could be hanging out with instead of me. If he wants to diss me, he's the one who loses, not me. So this is how things are between us now. We only talk to each other about school stuff if we absolutely have to. Like I'll say, "What did Ruben say the homework was?" And he'll answer, or he'll be like, "Can I use your pencil sharpener?" And I'll get my sharpener out of my pencil case for him. But as soon as the bell rings, we go our separate ways. Why this is why this is good is because I get to hang out with a lot more kids now. Before, when I was hanging out with August all the time, kids weren't hanging out with me because they'd have to hang out with him, or they would keep things from me, like the whole thing about the plague. I think I was the only one who wasn't in on it, except for Summer and maybe the D&D crowd. And the truth is, though, nobody's that obvious about it. Nobody wants to hang out with him. Everyone's way too hung up on being in the popular group, and he's just as far from the popular group as it can get. But now I can hang out with anyone I want. If I wanted to be in the popular group, I totally could be in the popular group. Why this is bad is because, well, A, I don't actually enjoy hanging out with the popular group that much. And B, I actually liked hanging out with August. So this is kind of messed up. And it's all August's fault. Snow. The first snow of winter hit right before Thanksgiving break. School was closed, so we got an extra day of vacation. I was glad about that because I was so bummed about the whole August thing, and I just wanted some time to chill without having to see him every day. Also, waking up to a snowy day is just about my favorite thing in the world. I love that feeling when you see first open your eyes in the morning and you don't even know why everything seems different than usual. Then it hits you. Everything is quiet, no cars honking, no buses going down the street. Then you run over to the window, and outside everything is covered in white. The sidewalks, the trees, the cars on the street, your window panes. And then that happens on a school day and you find out your school is closed. Well, I don't care how old I get. I'm always going to think that that's the best feeling in the world. And I'm never going to be one of those grown-ups that uses an umbrella when it's snowing, ever. Dad's school was closed too, so he took me and Jamie sledding down Skeleton Hill in the park. They say a little kid broke his neck while sledding down this hill a few years ago, but I don't know if this is actually true or just one of those legends. On the way home, I spotted this banged up wooden sled, kind of propped up against the old Indian rock monument. Dad said to leave it. It was just garbage, but something told me it would make the greatest sled ever. So Dad let me drag it home, and I spent the rest of the day fixing it up. I superglued the broken slats together and wrapped some heavy duty white duct tape around them for extra strength. Then I spray painted the whole thing white with the paint I had gotten for the alabaster sphinx I was making for the Egyptian museum project. When it was all dry, I painted lightning in gold letters on the middle piece of wood, and I made a little lightning bolt symbol above the letters. It looked pretty professional, I'd have to say. Dad was like, "Wow, Jackie, you were right about the sled." The next day, we went back to Skeleton Hill with Lightning. It was the fastest thing I'd ever ridden. So much faster than the plastic sleds we'd been using. And because it had gotten warmer outside, the snow was much crunchier and wetter. Good packing snow. Me and Jamie took turns on Lightning all afternoon. We were in the park until our fingers were frozen and our lips had turned a little blue. Dad practically had to drag us home. By the end of the weekend, the snow had started turning gray and yellow, and then a rainstorm turned most of the snow to slush. When we got back to school on Monday, there was no snow left. It was rainy and yucky the first day back from the vacation, a slushy day. That's how I was feeling inside, too. I nodded hey to August the first time I saw him. We were in front of the lockers. He nodded hey back. I wanted to tell him about Lightning, but I didn't. Fortune favors the bold. Mr. Brown's December precept was Fortune favors the bold. We were all supposed to write a paragraph about some time in our lives when we did something very brave and how, because of it, something good happened to us. I thought about this a lot. To be truthful, I have to say that I think the bravest thing I ever did was become friends with August. But I couldn't write about it, of course. I was afraid we'd have to read these out loud, or Mr. Brown would put them up on the bulletin board like he does sometimes. So instead, I wrote this lame thing about how I used to be afraid of the ocean when I was little. It was dumb, but I couldn't think of anything else. I wonder what August wrote about. He probably had a lot of things to choose from. Private school. My parents are not rich. I say this because people sometimes think that everyone who goes to private school is rich, but that isn't true for us. Dad's a teacher and mom's a social worker, which means they don't have those kind of jobs where people make gazillions of dollars. We used to have a car, but we sold it when Jamie started kindergarten at Beecher Prep. I don't live in a big townhouse or in one of those doorman buildings along the park. We live on the top floor of a 5-story walk up we rent from an old lady named Donna Petro, all the way on the other side of Broadway. That's code for the section of North River Heights where people don't want to park their cars. Me and Jamie share a room. I overhear my parents talk about things like, can we do without an air conditioner one more year? Or maybe I can work 2 jobs this summer. So today at recess, I was hanging out with Julian and Henry and Miles. Julian, who knows everyone knows is rich, was like, I hate that I have to go back to Paris this Christmas. It's so boring. Dude, but it's like Paris, I said like an idiot. Believe me, it's boring, he said. My grandmother lives in this house in the middle of nowhere. It's like an hour away from Paris in this tiny, tiny village. I swear to God, nothing happens there. I mean, it's like, oh, wow, there's another fly on the wall. Look, there's a new dog sleeping on the sidewalk. Yippee. I laughed. Sometimes Julian could be very funny. Though my parents are talking about throwing a big party this year instead of going to Paris. I hope so. What are you doing over break? Said Julian. Just hanging out, I said. You're so lucky, he said. I hope it snows again, I answered. I got this new sled that is so amazing. I was about to tell him about lightning, but Miles started talking first. I got a new sled too, he said. My dad got it from Hamacher Schlemmer. It's so state of the art. How could a sled be state of the art? Asked Julian. It was like $800 or something. Whoa. We should all go sledding and have a race down Skeleton Hill, I said. That hill is so lame, answered Julian. Are you kidding? I said. Some kid broke his neck there. That's why it's called Skeleton Hill. Julian narrowed his eyes and looked at me like I was the biggest moron in the world. It's called Skeleton Hill because it was an ancient Indian burial ground. Duh, he said. Anyway, it should be called Garbage Hill now. It's so freaking junky. Last time I was there, it was so gross. Like with soda cans and broken bottles and stuff, he shook his head. I left my old sled there, said Miles. It was the crappiest piece of junk, and someone took it too. Maybe a hobo wanted to go sledding, laughed Julian. Where did you leave it? I said. By the big rock at the bottom of the hill. I went back the next day and it was gone. I couldn't believe somebody actually took it. Here's what we can do, said Julian. Next time it snows, my dad can drive us up to this golf course in Westchester that makes Skeleton Hill look like nothing. Hey, Jack, where are you going? I had started to walk away. I've got to get a book out of my locker, I lied. I just wanted to get away from them fast. I didn't want anyone to know that I was the hobo who had taken the sled.